is Marcus and welcome to a little bit of a different episode of Tabletop Reviews. Today I'm talking about 4 games that may or may not be leaving my collection. So let's start with the one that is maybe going to stay for a little bit longer. It's Hike. It's a Kickstarter. I picked it up at Essen last year and we've gotten it played. To me, I don't overly enjoy it. There's a little bit confusing with the rules. Basically, you're trying to build a dog sled team of 8. 6 if you're playing a faster game or a game with more players, and go across a route across snowy mountains. That's either going to be 10 long or 8 long, again, depending on if you want a quick game or you're playing more players. And on the route you have little squares with snowflakes in them, which are either white, black or blue, and then the dogs have 1 to 3 snowflakes on them, which are either white, black or blue. And then you build your snowflakes into them, you go across the ones, and you have a little cube, and you say, okay, 2 blues, and I have this one with 2 blue snowflakes on it. I use my cube, I have now used this dog, and I move past those 2, right? That's the gist of it. But the assembling of the team and then going to the race is a little bit weird. Because it's described that you're going through a day, right? First day you flip over apart the route, you know the start and you know the finish. Now you have all the 8 cards in between, if you're going for the normal big game for 2 players, for example. Flip over the first card and you now know what that is, and then you go through both players, flipping over 2 cards from the deck and picking out dog to go into your sled. You have 2 dogs on your hand, or at least you have 2 cards on your hand to start with, plus you have some healing, right? Because when you're putting a cube on it, your dog is now exhausted, and you can play that card to remove the cube and use it again, the dog. The first way I understand it is that you build your entire sled, all 8 dogs, and then you race. But that means you have to go through all of the 8 ones, and then you're probably going to continue a little bit until you're ready to race. Another way to understand it is you flip over the first card, take your first round, and then you race with your first dog. Next day, next round, next bit of racing. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, either one, because it's described that when you're done racing, you start a new day, and a new day is tipping over the new one and then going through it, so maybe that's what they mean. But also the way to describe it is you go back and forth until you fill your sled and you're ready to race, and then you say ready to race. So that's the bit of the weird part for me about that one, the disconnection. Then there is the very take that-ish one, where you have you flip over a card and you can decide to remove dogs from the sled of your opponent. I don't play with that because in this game that's extremely mean and extremely just I'm gonna kill you. That's one where you replace cards in here, which is a bit more innocent, you know, the cards that you have on offer, then you're like, I removed these 2 and we flip over 2 new ones, and you're sitting there like, dang, I could use those ones. Damn. See if there's something new. More innocent, a little bit to take that, right? And then the expansion that adds traits and events, and I haven't played with that. First of all, it's very confusing reading it, but also just it doesn't sound good. It sounds like one of those expansions they were afraid to put in the base game. And I'm like, you can have it next to it in the Kickstarter. That happens a lot with Kickstarter games. I actually don't remember if there's an expansion in that one. So I wasn't overly happy with it, but my girlfriend enjoyed it. So right now she's vetoing it and it's staying in our collection. It was up to me only, I think I would get rid of it, but she's vetoing it, and that's, you know, that's the relationship. It's compromise. She wants to keep it. Well, fine, we'll have to keep it. I mean, we keep games that she doesn't want to keep, that I want to keep. So that's compromise, right? But that's Hike. If I have to give it a rating, I'm going to give it a 6. Because it's still, I find it fun to build a sled and race through it. It's just confusing in which order, and then the fact that you start with cards and you can take a card on hand and that's your turn. Or you can take a card and play it, or you can play a card from your hand and down, and that's your turn. So the turns really all, like, if you don't add a dog, you're behind very easily. So that, a misconnection I feel there. Next game is Dominant Species, the card game. I got this one because I really wanted to get into Dominant Species. And this game, maybe not want to get into Dominant Species as much. Basically you're going through 10 rounds, where each round there is new environment and new things to worry about, and then you try and build up a little row of animals to score that environment and get some points from it. And it's been a little while, I can't fully remember how to play it. But basically I just remembered that it was kind of boring. I didn't really feel the incisive of, oh, it's exciting, we're close. And no, it wasn't really that exciting. It was close, sure, in the game, in the points and stuff, but it wasn't really that exciting. I wasn't finding myself like on the edge of my seat, just kind of playing some animals. Like, okay, so this one has that symbol, so I can play that one. Oh no, you flipped it over to the bad side. It's not that much minus. I can just easily. Didn't find myself being overly excited about it, but the gameplay was interesting. This way of playing the animals down to the environment, thinking about constantly what am I going to give, what's going to be good for me, what's going to be bad for me, and like, oh no, I played these cards and I'm forced to play a good, bad card. That was interesting, so I'm going to give this a 6 as well. I just find myself pretty bored with it. This is one that she has not vetoed. It is leaving my collection from 2012. It hasn't scared me completely away from dominant species. I still kind of want to try it. I just don't think I'm gonna rush out and get it, if you know what I mean. Still interested in trying to play dominant species, the regular game, but the card game just found it a bit boring. Cause it's not something put itself in style. Cards have flipped out, of course. So not going to stay in my collection. I'm really going to play it. So Grove, I pointed towards the collector's edition. Woodland Adventure awaits. So I backed this one, or at the same time backed Everdell actually. I got this one first, and it sort of reminds you a little bit of Everdell. You are these anthropomorphic animals, and you are sort of fighting to build up your best grove, sort of, and you're part of the grove in your sort of a city, right? Like in Everdell, where you have inhabitants and you have some housing. And you have a max amount of you can have, and the inhabitants give you some abilities in construction, and the housing gives you some mainly points, and especially points based on the inhabitants, but also some of them give you resources. Then you're trying to build this, achieve points, and you can sort of upgrade yourself because you are a specific person with a specific ability which you can upgrade to become even better. So that's very interesting. One thing is the rulebook is incomplete. There's a few sections missing, and there's something where you kind of wonder, how am I supposed to do this? Let's just pick a way to do it. And one thing, of course, is the fact that you have an amount, I think it's 5 or 6 action points. You have a little disc that rotates around, which shows which action you're going to do. Rotating that, if I'm at this action, build, and I need to go 2 spaces to the left to get to upgrade, right? That's 1, 2 action points. One thing was moving it around was 1 action point, but that it's 2 action points together there, and then an action point to do whatever. All of a sudden you're spending action points real quick. You're not getting any points. You're not really getting anything. It's all about mid-maxing. You're constantly thinking, okay, if I'm here right now, what can I do here? Like, can I spend 2, 3 action points here? If I move over, then if I move to the right, and that's not the action I need, but that action I very much need next turn. So let me move it once, do an action or 2, get ready to move to that last action. It's very, very mid-maxing, and you're just gonna get a headache. And it's definitely not 8 and up. Definitely not. With that rule, no. At that young of an age, you're gonna get your ass handed to you, because you are not going to think 15 steps ahead, which you need to do. So really disliked it there. But the general aspect of it is very beautiful. It's awesome artwork. It's from Samuel Milham. Really awesome. I always call him Millman, but that's not his name. It's Milham. Jeff Pierce as well. But the artwork is from Samuel, and it's awesome artwork and looks awesome on the table. Just the gameplay of it. That gameplay is getting it really stingy. It's really mid-maxing. It's really just thinking constantly, what's the next I'm going to do? What's the next I'm going to do? But the thing is, you can't really predict it, because then your opponent's going to grab a card, new cards can refill, and you're like, oh shit, what am I going to do now? Fuck. So yeah, that really, when I found out that, all of a sudden the game really went downhill for me. I'm going to give it a 5. Before that, I thought it was a 6 or even a 7, because I actually enjoyed the building of your growth. Just a few things missing, a little bit too lucky. Rule books are missing some rules, and upgrading your abilities doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, if you ask me. But yeah, but the fact that you spend your action points like that really drags it down. I could modify it with my own rules to make it better, but I don't want to. As I said, it reminds me sort of Everdell or even viticulture, a little bit building your grove, building your area to get as much points out of it as possible. And with that comparison, this one's gonna lose, because Everdell and viticulture are way better games. Even Creature Comforts are just recently received. So much better. Just as awesome at artwork, and doing sort of the same. You're building your area to get as many points as possible. This one is going to lose out on that battle, and I don't want to play with modified rules if I already have some other games that give me the same feeling but are better. Therefore, unfortunately, Silver Grove also leaving my collection at a 5 out of 10, just not good enough. Not good enough. Sorry, Sam. You might recognize him as the person behind Lost in series, which I did a review of. Yeah. And the last one. I'm not going to give this a rating. I'm just going to complain. So this is Legacy's Allure, which is set to be 0 luck. You should just have all your cards out there, everything. No, okay, great. How do I get started with the game? I mean, there is the getting started guide, which puts you into a game with a very specific setup and teaches the rules of the game. That's good. That's a good thing to include. Then you have the rules here telling you how to get going with other parts of the game, except they don't. They have this right here. This is what they have in this entire rulebook to tell you how to get started with your first game outside of the getting started guide. I've read it, I've tried to read it, I've tried to watch videos. There's no explaining what I'm supposed to do to get me started. I get it, drafting, okay, maybe I want to draft. Maybe I want to use a Priest of Constructed Kingdom. Can I just use this entire one? Can I just grab Caladrix and use him? It doesn't say anywhere. It doesn't say how to. I mean, it says something about putting them in on the areas. Okay, is it all of my cards I need to put in, and then my magic or items over here, or do we need to have some hidden that I can play later? It doesn't say. It doesn't bother to tell you. It talks so much about the abilities of your cards and how to use your cards, how to move around, how to attack. All of that doesn't tell me how to get started with the game. So I've never gotten fucking started with the game because it's shit. The lore is interesting, sort of funny, it's interesting to read, and it's good, and nice artwork, but I don't fucking give a shit about the lore of the game if I can't fucking play it. Now let's talk about this fucking box right here. This is everything for Season 1, right? Everything for Season 1, I backed it, everything, a bunch of dice, everything. Doesn't fucking fit in the box. You might have noticed that it was half a meter above. Why have you made so that I can fit it in here? By the way, why didn't you tell me that I didn't need the faction packs, I just needed the Constructed Kingdoms? Because all of these right here is basically everything that's in here. Or is there more in here? I don't know, because it doesn't fucking say anywhere at all whether you have everything or you have nothing. But I don't think I needed all of this to get it. I have the playmats. Awesome. I can't get started. I'm not going to give it a rating, but because I haven't played it, I can't get started with playing it. There's absolutely nothing that's telling me exactly how to get started with this. They're really trying to create a community around this one and people that are going to gate and tournaments, and they want to make it magic, but not magic because you have pre-constructed kingdoms. Oh wait, we can draft. And it's magic, but worse. And I don't like magic. I hate magic. So there's nothing telling me how to get started with my games. Only the first game. There's nothing to bring me past the first game and into the other games. I can't figure it out. And I'm sorry, don't come in the comment section. Oh, you just do like this. I don't want to comment on a YouTube video telling me how to do it. I want the rules to tell me how to do it. Right? It's fucking same with this one or this one. Right, because there's some rule confusion. Oh, just check out the FAQ. No, it needs to say in the rule book. It needs to say in the rule book how I get started. I should not be confused after having read the rule books. I should not have a box that looks like this when you sell them all collect together, because this is not multiple purchases. This is one purchase. Fine that the playmat doesn't fit. That's a separate thing. Fine, I'm okay with that. But I need everything to fit in here. I need a box that fits everything. Fuck you, Keith. This is shit. I hate it. I'm not going to give it a rating because I haven't played it. Because I can't get to play it. I hate it. And it's leaving my collection. Maybe somebody would want it, but it's leaving my collection. I hate it. That's so terrible. What is wrong with you? I don't... I tried watching the Dice Tab video on as well. They have it pre-set up. They don't tell me is that the entire kingdom with Kha'Zix or Cthulhu or Arkok or Anduin or whatever. Spend a little bit too much time on the lore and world building. Forgot to make a rule book that tells you how to get started with your fucking game. I'm really annoyed about it because I was looking forward to it. But now I just want to get rid of it. I don't even want to watch the fucking bugs. Promise not to be as angry in the next one, but I feel like I'm doing very positive things. This is kind of a negative thing, bringing it down a little bit because I feel like I do too much positivity. Let's not be so positive. It's a negative world. So that goes into the pile of get the fuck out of my sight games. No, that's not true. But it's getting into the pile of games that I'm going to try and sell and get rid of, and hopefully that's going to happen, maybe not. Anyways, thank you for watching. Until next time, bye!